right, hello everybody. We are back with another episode of Cape Time, and I am here to review Spider-Man: Homecoming, one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. I know it's one of Tom's favorites too, and I'm excited to dive into this one, man. I just rewatched it maybe 2 or 3 days ago, fresh in my mind, and it's a fucking awesome movie. I mean, holy shit! I mean, it ages like. As in, when I say ages well, I mean, considering where we're going with the character in this new movie, it's so satisfying to look back at Homecoming, where he was during sophomore year of high school, compared to where he's gonna be at the end of this month and No Way Home. The progression is nuts, and it's just exciting, man. I am so happy to have seen that movie. Tom, how are you feeling? What do you think?
Like you said, it's one of my favorite of the Spider-Man franchises. Uh,
Yep.
and so, you know, coming off of Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was kind of a rocky time for Spider-Man
Yeah.
for a while, to say the least. It was not good. It was not good. Let's be honest. And
Yeah.
so we needed something fresh. We needed something new. We needed something that still felt like Spider-Man, but did Spider-Man in a different way. And what a better way to do it than to cast someone who looks exactly like a teenager in high school to go to this kind of, you know, to connect it to the MCU, to do what they did, make it more fun, make just switch it up, basically.
Mhm.
Not use characters like Green Goblin, who was used in Amazing Spider-Man 2 but was also used in the Raimi movies. Just switch it up, really.
Mhm.
You don't need to show the origin again. uh Basically, like, if there's a way to like rejuvenate a franchise, like Spider-Man Homecoming is the way to do it,
Yep.
especially after Civil War introduced him perfectly. And so, this movie is definitely one of my favorites. I love it so much, and I just this is top tier Spider-Man in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was trying to make a list of kind of just my general pros and cons of it, and truthfully, I didn't have many cons. I mean, I used to have more. There was a time where I had quite a few. I think at this stage I have one or two tops, truly, and like
Yeah,
that's a big departure from where I was with this movie because I remember when Far From Home came out. At the time, I liked it more than Homecoming by quite a bit at the time. And now, as I've rewatched both quite a few times, they've gone in totally opposite directions for myself, at least. Like where I love Homecoming so much now, and Far From Home, I'm fairly low on compared to before, especially. But Homecoming, man, I mean, what can you say that's bad about this movie? I mean, there was a time where I didn't like it because in my head, I grew up with the Raimi movies. And my expectation for the character of Spider-Man, even through the Mark Webb films, was grandiose, epic, dramatic. And like this wasn't that, obviously. It wasn't meant to be that though. And that's when I was younger and I saw this movie, I didn't know fucking film. I didn't know anything about that kind of shit. But now I do and I understand, that was the intention from the get-go. They're not trying to make this grandiose, epic choir film like they have with the fucking Raimi movies. This is meant to be a grounded, small scale Spider-Man story in high school that actually feels like a real high school story. And it does exactly that while still having all the action that we could have wanted for a first Spider-Man movie. When Feige describes this as the Harry Potter series, I think it feels that way in a lot of ways. It really does because
oh
it's
yeah, the first
so
two movies start off light, and then this third one's
that
gonna be
that's
like, oh fucking oh shit,
it's
this got dark.
it's
This
Prisoner
got
of
dark.
Azkaban.
Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home is the Prisoner of Azkaban slash Goblet of Fire of the Spider-Man franchise.
That's exactly what it is,
Uh,
man. And once you get to Goblet of Fire, for example, in Harry Potter, and that's the point where you look at everybody, you're like, whoa,
that's
they,
the point where it's like,
yeah,
yeah, kid died in this movie. Like,
yeah, kids are
yeah,
gonna die.
because
Everybody,
Remember in Chamber of Secrets, the kids didn't die; they just got petrified, quote
yes,
unquote petrified. Nobody died in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Nope.
Harry Potter Goblet of Fire is the first PG-13 Harry Potter movie, and it's
Yeah.
the first one to have an actual death in it. And
Yeah.
if I remember, well, actually, Sorcerer's Stone, I think Professor Quirrell died.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, he did.
So,
He did.
so like, but it was kind of
It's a very different kind of death.
it was a PG death in a way.
Yeah.
But like, motherfucker, Avada Kedavra, Cedric Diggory, Batman died. Okay, so like,
Yes.
that's basically what Spider-Man: No Way Home is, and like you said, Homecoming starts this franchise out in a lighter place. It definitely does have, it is the John Hughes kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to start, as long as you decide to, at some point, like, because I don't want 30-year-old Tom Holland to be playing John Hughes,
Yeah.
Peter Parker,
Yeah.
and Tom Holland doesn't want to be 30 and playing that same Peter Parker. He wants, because
No.
you got to develop the characters. It would be really weird if Daniel Radcliffe was still playing 12-year-old Harry Potter
Yeah.
in his 20s. So like, basically, just as long as you develop and mature, as long as the movie's mature, this movie and Far From Home will age well.
That's exactly what I've always said. The future of the character will dictate how I feel about these movies to some extent, because, like, obviously, if he never develops, I look back at this movie and I'm like, well, we never really got anywhere, but, like,
yeah, like
he's going to get somewhere, and I'm confident in saying that just because of what I know from No Way Home. But looking at this movie alone, though, I mean, just from beginning to end, you see a lot of growth, man. I mean, you have, I guess one of the positives we'll get into, since it lines up with this, is Tony Stark's role in this movie. And, people love to say Iron Boy Jr., but you know what?
I fucking hate that so much.
Guess what? Like you always say, he never even listens to fucking Tony.
He deliberately goes against everything he says throughout the course of the movie.
And, like, he's meant to a role actually make sense in the movie. It's not like they forced it in. Like, why wouldn't he see Tony Stark, considered to be the world's most famous and greatest hero at this stage, a mentor who also recruited him to be Spider-Man? It makes sense that he'd be in this movie.
I didn't recruit him to be Spider-Man.
Well,
he was already Spider-Man.
You know what I fucking mean.
He recruited him to fight Cap.
Yes. You know what I mean.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah. And he said, "Hey, I'm gonna upgrade your suit for you. You're welcome."
Yes.
I hope they do a retcon though in the Spider-Man freshman year series where Peter gives him, like, on the plane ride, he gives, like, Tony, like, a note, like, hey, this is kind of design ideas. So Peter technically designs the Stark suit in a way, like the red and blue kind of. That'd be pretty cool. But even if it doesn't, whatever. Yeah, the Iron Boy Jr. stuff is narrative ball, if I've ever seen narrative ball.
It doesn't mean anything. And, like, even the villain in this, Vulture, people keep saying, oh, the villains are connected to Stark. Vulture's, yeah, he's connected to Stark to a small extent, but Stark is just part of the bigger problem Vulture has an issue with.
Yeah,
he doesn't just say
he's Stark, not mad specifically at Tony Stark. He's mad at Tony Stark and everyone associated with Tony Stark.
Like he's mad at the wealthy as a whole because of the way they get this certain treatment that he doesn't get, and that they're able to, like they said basically in the beginning of the movie, the mess that these people made, they're the ones cleaning it up and getting paid to clean it up. And it's like, well, shit, that's just fucking bullshit, and now I don't have my job. And that's what he has a problem with. It's about the system versus, oh, I hate Tony Stark because he did X, Y, and Z specifically for me.
He's not specifically mad at Tony Stark. He's he's just like a face of one of the many faces that represent what Vulture is against.
And as the movie progresses, too, obviously, we get further deviation from that anyway, because the connection to Peter obviously becomes much more apparent when you find out that he's Liz's dad. And then at that point, it flips the whole thing onto its head, where at that point, it's his villain. It's his villain. Like, it is clearly Peter's villain at that stage.
I was like, oh, shit. And, like, Vulture and Peter became villains even before that, because he keeps annoying the shit out of Vulture.
Of course,
like,
that just brought it to a more personal level.
And then when he finds out, he's like, oh God. That scene is so good.
I
We'll
mean,
get into
that
that.
is, yeah, that's probably the best scene in the entire movie, from the point he sees him to the point where, honestly, through the end of the movie, dude, that whole third act
Yeah,
is fucking,
just
it's fucking awesome.
the best thing about the two John Watts movies so far, and I think the best thing about No Way Home will be the third acts. Like
Yes,
they finish strong.
I can
They
agree on that. I can definitely agree on that. Even as someone who didn't love Far From Home, third act is really great. The
Yeah,
third act
like
really is good.
they finish strong. I love how Far From Home he uses the shield and he kind of uses like a makeshift
Yeah,
shield and like a makeshift. That's funny. But yeah, like this is so good. Like this is like how you bring life back into a dying franchise. Like and Michael Keaton as Vulture is just like
it's goat
that's
casting. It's
that
so
is
good. I mean,
that's like
he's top three Spider-Man villains probably
that.
live action, right? I mean, I think
Mm,
he's probably my three. At worst, he's my four, but I think he's my three.
I like I love Defoe, love
Yeah,
Molina. I really like the one that I may put above Vulture,
they,
even
it's
though
a,
he wasn't in even though he wasn't in a great movie, would be Sandman.
yeah. I
I
knew that's where your head was at. Okay.
like because like especially that last scene where Peter forgives him and you see oh Thomas Hayden Church is great. So
For me,
that's
it's so close with those two, man. I
it's so
love
good.
Thomas. I love Thomas Hayden Church in that role. He's
That's
fucking
close. That's a close one.
excellent.
So
But
yeah, he's around there.
yeah,
I like Vulture a little more than Mysterio, although I do like Mysterio a lot.
Mysterio's my fifth. Yeah, he's my fifth.
I'll take Vulture slightly over Mysterio, and yeah, I mean I think the both villains have been strong in these movies. So yeah,
Mostly,
good.
we'll get into that when we do the Far From Home review. But Vulture obviously is an excellent villain. You feel sympathy for him. He has a family. The family ends up being connected to Peter, and obviously you have all these other different aspects of him that make him such an intricate character. And he's definitely one of the best parts of that movie. But aside from that, I just love the comedy is so top tier in this movie. Like, as someone who can't, like anybody, you can get annoyed with MCU humor at times. In this movie, just about every joke lands for me, and
It's
a
a
big,
much
like, it
it's a
lands.
much tighter script
Yeah,
than Far From Home. It is a better movie than Far From Home because it balances tone better.
yeah, definitely.
It does it because some of my main issues with Far From Home, we'll get into this in the Far From Home review, even though I do really like Far From Home, is that they struggled to with that. There's a line between in character and like if you cross a certain line, the characters almost become like caricatures of
Uh huh.
themselves, and it's like it's almost becomes Disney Channel kind of
Yeah.
like and like they cross that in the bus scene and like they really kept it in line in this movie throughout the whole way, and
Hmm.
that's so hard to do, but they did it, and I think it's just a much better film. Like I would never say, even though I really like Far From Home, I would never say that Homecoming isn't better than this
Yeah,
because
definitely, definitely,
Homecoming is a better film,
absolutely.
even though Far From Home is better action, and I would agree that Far From Home is better action, but this the overall package of what you're getting here is better. It is a better
It's
film.
just overall, it's just a better narrative, like straight up. Like, the narrative is tighter. I think the story is better. It's, again, there's not much to complain about with this movie, because initially when I first saw it, my complaint was that one of my biggest complaints, which I no longer have, is that the third act, while I did like a lot of it, I didn't feel the third act fight did anything justice for what it should have been. But in the end, I'm like, I have to look at this as the first entry in a high school, small scale Spider-Man movie. And on that scale, the fight works because it's not meant to be the train scene from Spider-Man 2. It's not that kind of fight. And that's the entire point of it. It's not meant to be that huge and grandiose. And for that reason, I'm okay with it. Like, for example, if that fight was in No Way Home, for example, and that was like the third act, like,
Then yeah, like
then yeah,
no,
that's a problem. That is a problem.
which it is not.
No, 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 it is
Which it
not.
is not. Which it
No,
is
it is
not.
not.
John Watts said, "All right, I got you. I got you
Yeah.
here." But yeah, I mean, like this is. Oh, I froze. Okay, but like I said, this movie is small scale Spider-Man, small high school Spider-Man. You don't need this big, all out punch brawl, punch punch punch
No.
punch. Not needed here. He crashes a plane into the beach, and then he webs him up. He saves the day, and he saves a guy's life,
Yep.
which is quintessential Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man. He's like even the guy that has fucking annoyed the shit out of him all movie. He
Hmm.
gets up, spins a web, saves his life. Then, as the crate explodes, he warns him. He goes, "Let go. The
Yeah, yeah.
crane's gonna explode." He warns him. He's like, "Bro, like you can let this go, fly off right now. Just I'm not gonna let you die here." The crate explodes. He goes into, and then he gets up after the crate explodes, and he's all fucked up. He gets up. He's got like a broken arm, and he gets up and he lifts the thing and he saves the guy's life. Like
Hmm.
that is Spider Man. Like that is such a good representation of Spider Man to
Yep.
me.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's excellent representation of what the character is right there, and really, you get that kind of thing throughout the whole movie where it just feels like it feels so much like this is Peter Parker. Like as much like I go back and forth with this. Like I hate even having the best Spider-Man discussion because it's pointless, like we've talked about. But like
Wait, there's a
it,
discussion on the internet about Spider Man?
oh yeah. And truthfully, I go back and forth if I had to pick. Honestly, I just watched this movie, and I'm like, by the end, I was like, shit, maybe Tom Holland is the best. It's like he's so good in the role, man. Like he is so phenomenal, and it's just a testament to him because obviously the other two had such iconic performances. Like it's amazing what he's been able to do with the character, and this world that they created on such a small scale yet brilliant level in Homecoming with, and also the group he has around him, like they're cast to perfection. Even the comedic characters, like the teachers, they're so funny. They are so funny, and like if any other person delivered the lines, it wouldn't come out the same. But like the gym teacher, for example, like when he's oh,
Pretty sure he's
yeah,
a war
he's a war
criminal right
criminal,
now, but whatever. And
whatever.
he just does not give a shit.
And
And
then fucking
also,
Peter leaves for detention. Hey, where
where
you
you go?
going? Hey, get
He's
back
just
here.
like it's like nobody in that school gives a shit
No
about
one
him.
cares.
Like
It's
absolutely.
so funny.
Like Martin Starr as Mr. Harrington is just
Yes.
he's so funny. He's better used in limited doses, just like all of the teachers,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is another complaint for Far From Home is like slight overusage. But
Yes.
like when if you use them in a in a in the right capacity, it's so and like it's used here, it's so good. And like going back to what you're saying about Tom Holland, it was like this is like one of the best performances by a lead actor in the MCU.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, God, there's so many big moments you can point to in this entire movie. Whether it's
the dude was 19 doing this.
I know. I mean, you can point to the scene where Tony has to talk with him. You can point to the scene at the end where he's under the rubble and he says, I am, come on, Spider-Man." Like, that's such a huge moment. I mean,
It's even
there's
the
so,
little stuff, like when he's
it,
crying to Aunt May and shit.
oh, yeah. No, dude, it's the thing is, so it's also not over the top at all. Like, it's so believable. Like, it's believable in every sense of the word that this is a high school kid as Spider-Man. Like, you
It's pretty
actually,
funny. He's
like
19. He does look like he's in
that's
high
what I'm
school.
saying. Like you buy into it. It doesn't feel like oh, this guy would probably be in college, and his demeanor, even his like no, this guy acts like he's in high school. He looks like he's in high school. His body language, even like it feels like yeah, this guy is in high
He
school,
feels like a high schooler more than a college guy
and
for
that's
sure.
and that's the first time that's been done in a Spider-Man movie, which is
And
not a knock.
I
It's not a
love
knock
how
on the others. It's not a
yeah
knock on the others.
I love
Yeah.
how like now he's 25, and I feel like with each film that he's been in, his performance is maturing. And I think like in No Way Home, it's gonna be like the point where Peter Parker becomes a man
Yeah.
in a way. Like he's going to college, and like I'm very interested to see how his performance changes now that Peter Parker is gonna be the Spider-Man that we know and love. Like in
Yeah.
all of the ways. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna be that Spider-Man. He's gonna be more akin to what Andrew and Toby were in a way.
Uh huh. I think that's really going to be huge, man. I mean, seeing this character reach that level is going to be so exciting for us, and again, it becomes so much more rewarding when you actually have this long arc of 3 movies and Civil War and the Avengers movies. Even like you have him appearing in 6 different movies before he hits this point of becoming a man, essentially. And it's like, holy shit! Like we got that. Like we got to see all of that, and that is such a rewarding thing as a fan, man. I mean, it's so hard to complain about what we've gotten so far with the character as a whole. And I mean, there's so many other positives I want to get into with this movie. I mean, we already got into the cast. Well, we didn't finish the entire cast, but I mean, Ned too. I think Jacob Bolton. I mean, he's someone that before Homecoming, he had no credits. He wasn't really even an actor. I mean,
the
like,
fuck is this guy? I think he was like a community college dropout in Hawaii.
Yeah,
like,
and yes, that's
gonna
exactly
be an actor now. All right.
He said, "I kind of just want to give it a shot," and they liked him, and they said, this guy he's funny. Let's give him a fair chance," and they brought him on, and it worked to perfection, man. I mean, he's so endearing throughout the whole movie. And another critique I initially had too, I wanted Ned to have at least not a ton of depth. Like he's not going to be a super deep character, but like I wanted him to have a little more of something. But now it's like that's not what he's meant to be, and I get that. Like as long as for me someone like MJ becomes more developed throughout this movie, and it's like I'm good. Like I understand that's okay. I just need development with somebody because I can't have 2 friends with no development at all.
Yeah, there can be a comedic relief friend.
Exactly. That's fine. And even so, it's not like there's no emotional connection there. Like they do genuinely care about each other, and you can feel that.
You can tell they're boys, man.
Yeah, like I mean, this is the little intricacies of the movie, like they're doing the little handshake and everything, and Homecoming,
and when high school friend,
yeah,
it's a high school buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So. And again, if I would consider that another realistic take in a way, because when you're a sophomore in high school, you usually don't have friends you genuinely like. You care about them, but you don't care about them in the way like I care about my own friends now. It's a very different kind of feeling.
We're old.
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting old. So like, and these are the same friends I had sophomore year of high school, but I didn't care about them the way I do now that I did in sophomore year of high school.
But you hit adulthood, like things change. Like
it's different.
You have more developed relationships. It's
yeah.
The truth.
That's just part of it. So like, I would say honestly, that props to John Watts for that because that just makes it more of what he was aiming for the entire time, a more realistic high school take. And that's exactly what goes into that. So that's a really underrated thing I never even thought of until recently. I thought that's great. And MJ obviously in the movie doesn't really do much, but she's not meant to do much,
kind of like an extended cameo, to be honest.
That's pretty much so Dune. Yeah.
Dune.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
just skinny Timothy Chalamet is just having dreams about her throughout the movie. It's like
up until the end,
that's your role. Just make out with skinny Timmy. So
you mean what's it called? Harry Osborn?
That'd be a good casting. He is not officially cast to our knowledge, but it would be a good Harry Osborn.
That would be cool casting. But
can I be Harry? Like, can I be like a mirror to Peter? Just be like.
You mean like Defoe in the mirror?
No. Like kind of like how like in Spider-Man 3, Eddie Brock was supposed to be like a mirror. Of Peter
yeah.
Like, just let me be, because like me and Tom Holland have slight resemblance, slight, but because we're skinny with brown hair, basically.
Skinny with brown hair.
Yeah. Like that's the criteria for someone to say you look like Tom Holland is being skinny with brown hair.
Like we see throughout the whole movie, something I also really liked. They have the theme of responsibility on both a larger scale in this movie and also a smaller scale. Like you have the little scenes where like he realizes he can't dress up as Spider-Man at the party. Like that's not right. I have a responsibility. I can't be doing that. Or when they have the little pool party and he has to leave to go after Vulture and like he's thinking twice about it at first and then he's like, no, I have to go. But then you have the larger scale scenes, of course, where Tony has that whole talk with him and the whole cruise ship falls apart and he feels responsible for that. Like they go into responsibility so much. And like there's people that say like, oh, they don't even really go into that at all. I'm like, did you even watch the movie? Like
it feels like the narrative. I really do have to go in on this. Is like there are certain there are certain narratives around here. I'm not gonna name names, but like there are certain narratives around this movie that are just like we didn't watch the same movie clearly
No.
because like just because it's not the version that you want, it's not the tone that you want. It's not what you want
Yeah.
overall. Does not mean that it's invalid in what it's trying to do and what it does successfully.
Mhm.
It feels like it's very easy to say, okay, this is not the direction that I personally would have gone in. So
Yeah.
everything that this director decides to do is not as good as certain other directors have done.
You are absolutely right. I mean, there's a bullshit narrative there. It's been
Basically, I'm saying it's not the Raimi trilogy, and that's
well,
okay.
yeah, exactly. It's not meant to be the Raimi trilogy. Like it's a bullshit narrative made by certain people. I'm not gonna name names either, but it's stupid. It's ridiculous, and I really don't support it at all. And these movies deserve love, man, because they're really well made. There's a lot of heart put into them, and I'll tell you right now, John Watts really cares about Spider-Man, contrary to what some people might think. He loves the character, man. He really does, and it comes through in these movies. And
It'll come through on the next one, that's for sure.
yeah, I mean, and like I said, like if again, when people tell me that whole thing about responsibility not being properly displayed in the movie, it's like you're nuts
All right,
because
let's do the biggest example there. He gets
what?
out of the car after Vulture points a gun at him.
That's what I was gonna get to next, actually.
He
Yes,
goes into the homecoming dance. He knows what he has to do as he's looking
dude,
into the
that's
door.
it's so good.
He
It's so
opens the
good.
door, goes to Liz, says, I gotta go. I'm sorry. There's something I have to do to that extent. Uh, Goes into the hallway, picks up the locker, grabs his homemade suit, and goes to stop Vulture. Why? Because if he lets Vulture go, someone could get hurt. Just like when he let someone go, Uncle Ben got shot. There you go. With great power comes great responsibility
Yep.
because Peter has the
Yep.
physical ability to stop Vulture.
Yeah.
He has a responsibility to leave that dance and go get Vulture and stop him before he robs that plane.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the huge moment for the character. Obviously, I love the whole tone of the car ride and that scene is so good, man.
Good
I think
old Spider-Man.
I think yeah, we got to get into that.
Yes.
We just got to jump in. I mean, we'll start.
Hey, Pedro.
We'll start at the house. We'll start at the house because that's where the sequence starts for me. Because it's great even there. Like he opens the door. I love the way they set it up. Like everything's so happy. He's figuring out how to get his tie on. He gets the suit on. He's talking to Aunt May in the car. You have this upbeat, happy music when he's going up to the door, and it just cuts off the moment it opens.
It's like, oh shit.
Like you could just see the pure fear in his eyes in that moment, and just it's such a great play on the overprotective dad, and like I love the comedic aspect of that because I never dealt with the overprotective dad. I actually had an overprotective mom I had to deal with, and that was honestly even worse. But overprotective dads can be fucking rough.
Batman never had to deal with these things.
No, he did not. No, it was. Ugh. And I don't mean for myself. I mean for people I've been with. But like, yeah, like they can be rough. And I know people who have had to deal with overprotective dads. And I always said as a joke, when I'm older, I want to be what Vulture was in this movie as a dad. Just cleaning my knife.
Intimidate the fucking shit out of the kid that's dating your daughter.
Just kind of just like pull out my shotgun, start dusting it off. Just that kind of thing.
That didn't look right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh god. Oh no. Oh, no.
All right. Wow. That was great, Tom. That was wow.
I'm a bad dad, I guess.
You're back.
I'm a bad dad. Yeah, Vulture's cool though. He's a good dad, and he's intimidating.
Like it's so funny. He's just cleaning the knife. He's having a casual conversation with Peter.
You want a drink?
Do you want a drink? Want some scotch?
I'm not old enough to drink.
It's the right answer.
Right answer. Yep. Yeah, that's just like I have been in that situation. I have been in that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is the most accurate depiction of high school life when you're dating someone ever. It's like,
Yeah.
or just teenage life because I never got laid in high school. So we're not gonna get into that though. But
And then after that, Liz comes down and she's, all happy. She looks beautiful, and fucking both fucking Tombs. Wow, wow, wow! Doesn't she look beautiful? Doesn't she, Pete? You look good.
yeah. She looks nice. She looks nice.
Again,
Like
again.
Tom.
The right
Okay,
answer.
Tom Holland's performance in that scene.
Yep.
I've never related to a performance more. Like that is, yeah. Like if you found out, if you're a high school kid, you got superpowers. You found out that the girl you're dating is the daughter of the guy you've been trying to catch for however long. I would turn white. I would not handle that well. I'd be like, when he has to hold it together. He can't be like, I know you're the fucking Vulture. I'm Spider-Man. And
Like the sequence is just so funny yet so tense. Like I love oh, is that a corsage? Fucking shoves it into her fucking chest.
Yeah, is that a corsage? He's still looking right at Vulture.
Yeah, he just shoves it to her. Like she just looks at him like,
okay, you okay, buddy? And then when he takes the picture and Vulture and the mom says smile,
he just keeps looking.
And he goes, and the smile that he does is,
it's so like he's breaking apart on the inside while trying to smile.
He's like, this is his smile.
Yeah. It's so good.
He's like, he wants to fucking cry, man.
And then we get into the famous car sequence, and that is the best for sure out of all of this. I mean, the writer.
Oh, that's such a good lead up, man. It's so good.
The writer of the movie was saying he was going through a very Hitchcock influenced moment there, and you could feel, and I feel that, and that's awesome, and you can really just feel that the tension rising even more once you get into that car, and they're talking together, and Liz is just slowly unraveling, giving everything away by accident, and Peter's just
she's just like, I was there. He's like, yeah, what are you talking about?
Dude, I love when they mentioned the party at the house, and Peter's like, oh, great house, a lot of windows.
Yeah, really nice party, a lot of windows.
A lot of
windows, and he's just like, I gotta say something. Or else. When the light turns green,
and he puts it together. Good old Spider-Man,
and that's so good because obviously Vulture's a
because I think you naturally take it as the ready. It stops, and because he realizes he stops to put everything together, he's like, oh yeah, and then
stop red Spider-Man,
yeah,
green Vulture time. And it's like,
and then once you get to the school and he pulls out the gun, I'm like, you see, that's the dad I want to be. Does she know?
Yeah, he just he whips that shit out. He goes, does she know? I would try, I don't know. Would you try to call his bluff? Be like, my superpower is that I'm bulletproof, right? Would you say that? I would try to call the bluff. I'd be like, I'm bulletproof, man. But then he shoots him in the chest. And it's like,
yeah, no.
I actually think he handled that well because the goal should be get out of there quickly.
Oh yeah.
Then get suited up. It would be a lot more convenient if he had the Stark suit. Thanks a lot, Tony. And then he goes into the school and acts as if he's going to the dance and leaving and wiping his hands a bit. But then no, he's like, I'm going out that fucking back door. I'm coming for your ass.
That scene is so hyped. The way he's running through the halls, tearing off his suit. It's so hyped. So
fucking good. I've had dreams of doing a scene like that for years. For years. And they did it in Homecoming. Is what's better? The good thing that school does not have security cameras, I may add. What's better than a kid running in a hallway? And it's Spider-Man 2. Remember in that alleyway when he's pissed off.
Yeah, it's like that, but a school version. Yeah,
it's just like a high school version of oh shit, I gotta get him. And by the way, I do have a theory because there's a theory about it's kind of considered a plot hole. It's how did Shocker know how to be there? How did Shocker, like, because Shocker got there really quickly. My theory, I have a
Okay.
theory. My theory is that, well, Shocker was going to be a part of whatever heist they had going on. So he was in like a car getting ready or something like that. And I think that when the light turned green, right, when Adrian pieced it together, I think Adrian, when Peter wasn't looking,
Yeah.
may have slipped a phone out, like
I,
get to the
that,
school
that's what I
immediately.
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
And maybe Vulture thought that Peter may try to slip out the back door.
Oh, for sure. No, that was clearly an insurance policy that he had
Well,
that
yeah,
he put in
basically.
place. Yeah,
Yeah,
because he didn't want to have to deal with it if he didn't have to. So I figured just in case, get back there because I want you ready.
yeah, like, and also
Yeah.
there is an actual like plot hole in this movie. Well,
Oh well,
it's not really a plot hole. It's a
it's
continuity
it's a
error.
continuity error.
It's
Yeah.
like 8 years later. I'm like, 8 years later. This was not 8 years. Avengers was 4 years ago canonically. Okay, because Spider-Man: Homecoming takes place. Well, actually, I think it's six technically.
I think six.
Because I think Avengers is actually 2010,
Yeah, I believe you're right.
and then Civil War and Homecoming take place in the same year, and that's 2016. So there you have it. So 6 years. It's not 8.
Yeah, I would say six probably.
So
But whatever. That's
how do
more
you
like
miss that?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how they missed it, but like
You spend like 2 years making a movie. You're like, are we sure it's 8? Because I'm not so sure it's 8. Because Civil War,
yeah,
which is only a few months before this, is 2016, which would mean that this is 2016.
yes.
What year did Avengers take place, Kevin? 2010. Now, I'm not a mathematician here,
We're not a math pod, as John
but
Paul would
I
say.
think that's 6 years.
Yeah.
It would be, and it's very funny how 11-year-old Liz Allen draws like a 5-year-old. That because that little drawing that she drew.
I forget
It's
what was it?
remember she drew like the Avengers battle
Oh
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
goes, "Kids got a future." That is a 5-year-old's drawing, and canonically, she's 11 when she draws that because she's a senior. She's a senior in this.
Wait, so she was 18.
So she's
17, 18, 17, 18, basically.
So -6. She's
But-
11.
Okay,
yeah.
but technically they thought of it as 8 in the movie though.
Yeah,
8
but
years
they were
ago.
wrong for that.
I'm just saying though, based on the timeline of this movie though, even if it's wrong, I'm just saying.
It's a broken timeline.
I know, I agree. I'm just saying. For this movie though, technically she was 9 or 10.
Which is still terrible for a 9 or 10-year-old. If my
Oh,
9 or
I
10-year-old
agree.
if my 9 or 10-year-old ever drew like that, I would say, listen,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
I
I probably drew that way when I was 9.
listen, kid, you can do a lot of things in your life. Draw,
Not one of them.
just give up now. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But
Unless you get like magic hands like fucking Doctor Strange, don't try anymore. Thank you. Go play baseball or something.
yeah. So
Wow, I'd be a bad dad.
yeah.
Uh,
Are there any other positives you want to touch on? I mean, I know there's others. I'm trying to think of what comes to mind.
I love that scene after the suit gets taken away, where like
Yeah.
Aunt May and Peter are talking. Like I would have loved more of that in Far From Home.
I agree.
I think the relationship between Peter and May should have been emphasized in this version even more so.
And I was gonna say that's actually part of the reason why I don't like Far From Home because of the fact you're going on this trip, you get no more development with Aunt May, and that's
I don't like that. It was sort of. I can give it a pass for a movie. I can give it a pass for Far From Home, but in No Way Home, like
that's what I was gonna say.
I need something meaty here. Give me something meaty.
That's what I was gonna get to. That's why I care because with the way No Way Home is gonna be going, it would have been really good to have that progression in the movie prior as well. Because now it's like there's not an issue necessarily, especially if they develop May even more in No Way Home. But like, it would have been really useful to have that during that middle movie. But
you know what sucks?
Whatever.
You know what sucks? It's that Spider-Man: Homecoming, right? Takes place 2016, right?
Yeah.
We don't see, in terms of the canon, we don't see Peter Parker for another year and a half in the timeline, because Avengers: Infinity War takes place in early 2018.
Yep.
So That's a year where like May became okay with Peter being Spider-Man. Like it's
Uh,
very clear. Like and like that's completely plausible. They had a full year to get that ironed out.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like it's just the problem that we have is like this the Raimi movies never had this problem and the Amazing Spider-Man franchise never had this problem because it is a moving timeline. So when you end on a cliffhanger,
yeah. You
you need
pick right back up.
you have to pick up. Like it would have been better if that ending scene got cut and May found out that Peter was Spider-Man through Quentin Beck's little, the cliffhanger of Far From Home because they're actually following up on the cliffhanger of Far From Home, whereas they never got a chance to follow up on the Homecoming cliffhanger because they went into Infinity War. Then like 5 years passed,
Yeah, yeah.
and then like there's a whole like we never got to see it. And like originally in the Far From Home plans, it was the plan was to open it with going back in time and showing that. And they should have done that, but I understand why they didn't do that in the same way. But I think they should have done it. They should have followed through and said
Yeah.
like, okay, she's okay now. But like it would have been cool if they opened like No Way Home doing that, like because like and it sets up
Yeah.
something that
But
happens.
anyway, in Homecoming, I do agree. It would have been nice to have a few more scenes with Aunt May would have been great. I mean, we heard about the one scene that got cut with Uncle Ben's suit, where he comes back to the apartment after all that.
That'd have been cool. That'd
That
have been
would,
cool.
I think, that would have been a really
There
nice
are a
nod.
few little references to Ben in here.
I mean, barely. I mean,
A few little ones, like the scene in where Ned finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, and
that's like the only one, really. I think,
Ned,
right?
like it is a very clear Uncle Ben reference. Like after everything she's been through,
I think that's basically the only one, though.
yeah, that's
I
like a
think.
main. I think there may be like one or two more, but nothing too like. I want to see like we can say like here's the thing. Here's the
We
thing.
could say the words Uncle and
Yeah,
Ben
yeah,
together.
like it's okay. It's not okay to show the death. It is okay
No.
to say Uncle Ben. It's fine. Like Aunt May and Spider-Man No Way Home. If Aunt May wants to go, your Uncle Ben like that. Perfectly cool. Nobody's gonna go, oh, Uncle Ben again. No.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's not what
Yeah.
anyone was like saying when we said we don't want to do the Uncle Ben thing again. We want to do like Uncle Ben will always be an important
No,
part. It's just that
it's the fact we don't want to do the origin
just
story
don't
again.
show the origin
Yeah.
again. Just like
Yeah.
okay, we can still talk about the impact that Uncle Ben had. It's like just don't show us just don't show the death. That's all we ask. Don't show the death, and you're good.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that, and it's not even an issue for me in Homecoming. No. I don't even count that as an issue.
Because you feel it. You feel what he's learned.
Yeah. So, what else did I like in that movie? I know what my one con is, but I'll save that for the end because that's literally the only one I have.
Not enough Marissa Tomei.
I mean, I'll call that a preference. I'll call that more of a preference.
I'll call that a preference as well.
But I mean, I think that's kind of it for the main topics I wanted to cover. Do you have anything else for the pros or? Oh, actually, I have one. Initially, I didn't like the score. Now I love the score. I think that the score is clearly. It's meant again. It comes down to how I originally felt about the movie, where I was so.
It's all approach based, man.
I was so used to grandiose that I wasn't ready for this less grandiose score. But that's the entire point. It's high school.
It was intentionally not Raimi. It was intentionally not Mark Webb. It was intentionally not that Spider.
It's the '60s Spider-Man theme orchestrated.
Well, at the end when he stops Vulture and he's sitting on top of the little, what was it, like a Ferris wheel or something?
Ferris wheel, I think Ferris wheel, yeah.
Something like that, and then it goes dun 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 dun. Like it's still very much a theme in its own kind of origin in a way. It's still building up to being kind of something that one day I think Spider-Man 4. I think like there's gonna be a point where it's gonna be like very much like Raimi, very much like the Elfman score, where I don't know if they're gonna do exactly that theme again, not the Raimi theme, but exactly the Homecoming theme. But like, there's
my guess would be no. Honestly, I think you have to move on from that score eventually, just because like that score was literally designed with the intention of fitting a lower scale set of
Yeah,
movies.
I think like one day we'll get something that is more akin to the Elfman score, where it's Spider-Man is now the Spider-Man
Yeah,
with all of what we know about Spider-Man. It's right in there, yada yada yada, and it's more of a traditional Spider-Man story.
yeah,
And bang,
yeah,
there's a banger theme where it's da 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 da. I don't care what the hell it is. It's obviously not gonna be the Raimi theme. It's not gonna be the Mark
yeah,
Webb theme, but it's gonna be something that's very
yeah.
unique to this character and still epic.
I agree.
As the stakes get bigger, the
Yes, yes,
score gets bigger. There you go.
yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Um, I don't think I have anything else for pros now. I think though that covered all my main points I wanted to get to. Do you have anything else, or you want to move on to the couple cons that we might have?
I think the only thing that I have left to say is like I love the scene, the whole sequence with like Peter leaving the party, then
Yeah, yeah.
doing the little run through the neighborhood because it's like what
Oh
if
my God, we forgot to even cover that. Yeah, you're right.
and like what if Spider-Man like is in a suburban neighborhood where he like there are
Yep.
no tall buildings to
It's
attach
so
to,
it's so good.
and like Spider-Man on the beach would be useless. It's like Spider-Man in a suburban neighborhood would be have a tricky time doing web swinging.
It's
So
so
yeah.
good. It's so funny. That scene is awesome, man. I love
Yeah.
that. But
And then I love how Vulture picks him like right off.
surprise!
Like he's almost like a
Yeah.
quote unquote vulture.
Yep. Oh, and when he drops him, if you look up at the top of the screen, you see like Vulture centered in the moon, and it looks
Yeah, that's a
so
Batman reference. That's a
it
Batman reference.
it looks so good. It
Yep.
looks so
Yep.
good.
It's like John Watts, you did your homework on Michael Keaton. I see.
Yeah.
Yep. Drops him
Uh,
right in the lake too.
yeah. So I guess I'll get into the one con I have. Literally, I have one con for the entire movie at this stage. Unless I'm just forgetting something, which I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure I just have the one. I really feel that you needed more emotional impact at the end with Liz. I think that was a big missed opportunity for me because the entire movie, it's he has this huge crush on her. He really starts to end up liking her as the movie progresses, and he just put her through fucking shit, dude. Like it's not obviously like he did the right thing, but I'm saying like she just lost her father basically to do a fucking crime. Now she has to move, change her entire life, and Peter has no words, nothing to say, and like he's obviously guilty about it,
Like
but
he just like there's nothing to
like
that he can say that would make her feel better.
no, there's nothing
There's
that's gonna make her feel better, but they also should have sat with his guilt a little more than a 30-second sequence of him not knowing what to say to her. Like to me, that's a mistake because that should weigh down a little harder on him. To me, for
I
me,
think like the thing he knows what he did was right. He knows
of course.
he feels morally justified in what he did, right?
Well, yeah, but
I do think it would have been cool if there's a scene of Peter like walking back to the class, like a tracking shot of him walking back to the class, and it's just like it's like he has a moment where he's like, I really ruined that girl's life
that's what I was
by
gonna
doing
say.
it.
Like that's all I would have needed. Like a scene like that really shows him like
And it just goes to show
having
that
that
the whole
moment.
great power, great responsibility thing is like there are side effects to what he does.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like that's such an important theme for Spider-Man that in that moment where it could have been as resonant as any other moment in the whole film, I felt that was a really giant missed opportunity. But
But
that's for me.
I do
That's for me.
think the idea that this film has no consequences is completely inaccurate because
Oh no, no,
that
no.
girl's life's still ruined, man. Like
No, no. The
she
consequences are still there throughout
yeah,
95% of the movie. That's just like one
yeah.
error for me
That's just one
personally.
instance where something could have been
Yeah, yeah.
expanded on just a little more.
Yes, yes.
Where it's not something that was completely like shoved aside. No, it was still in there. It's just we could have extended it.
Uh-huh.
Basically, is what we're saying, and that's fine. That's a fine little criticism. I still think like overall this is fantastic. It's just like yeah, I think you're right. I think like if you wanna do something more akin to because what Raimi did always was kind of I kept saying that this is not Raimi specifically, but I think one of the strengths of the Raimi and even the web films is like the emotional moments get lingered on a little more.
Hmm.
And I think like, and thankfully, like that scene that you're talking about was not like, thank God there wasn't like a joke that got caught in there.
Oh no.
Like,
Homecoming actually was
like
not bad with that. Like they
no,
didn't
I
really
think
think.
like the humor was like at a time where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could use a little humor
So
here.
that's what I'm
Like,
saying. They never overused the humor in that movie. Honestly, to me,
yeah,
I thought it was
and
really
that's
well
just
placed.
that's not just like a Far From Home problem. That's like an MCU problem.
I mean,
A lot of the time.
I think it's very overstated, truthfully, in the MCU. Like, I usually don't have an issue with
It's
it.
just there are some moments like
I mean, there's
where it's
some,
like we
yeah.
like in Shang-Chi we didn't
No,
really
that
need
that one
that.
was bad. That was
Or
bad.
like you can trust your audience to like you can finish the emotional scene. We got it.
Yes.
We got it. We can do it.
Yeah.
We can handle
We
it.
can do it.
We can handle.
And
We'll
that's
get through
another
this
thing.
together.
That's what I praised the Turtles for, actually, for the most part. I thought the humor in that movie too, really well placed for the most part. Like I didn't really have many issues at all with
I
that
think
humor.
Black Widow did that well. I can't really recall.
Not during an emotional moment. No,
Yeah, I can't really recall there being like a moment where I was like, "What the fuck? Like why
no.
would you put a joke here?" It's like what?
Yeah. So yeah, Homecoming is a really excellent movie. I mean, do you have any other cons with it, or
Not really, but I do understand that there are some people who are kind of like who do complain about the action in a way because they're so used to seeing those
and
first five movies
that was
where
me
it's
for a very
like
long time. I get
where
it. I
it's
get it.
like why isn't Spider-Man like having these grand fights on the train and shit and like doing like that kind of badass Spider-Man? This is not badass Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man figuring shit out. He's still, even
Yeah.
though like because at the core of it, like even though he has these powers, he still doesn't. He's not like a trained fighter or anything.
No.
Like he doesn't know what he's fucking doing. He's just trying his best. Like that's the cool thing about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's a kid trying his best.
And like this is a movie. I think you'll love it when you finally get it. When you finally get what Watts and the writers were trying to do.
Yeah, like when he becomes
Like
that badass Spider-Man,
like it's gonna become so rewarding. Like for me,
he's
like
gonna
again,
become
like
he's gonna become Raimi and Garfield. I mean,
yeah.
he's gonna become like on that level in terms of his abilities.
Yeah. I mean, dude, think
his
about what
capabilities.
he already did, like in Homecoming, where he got the rubble off of him. Like
It's in there. It's
dude,
fucking
like,
in there. Like you see it, and like
that's
you see
fucking
it,
power.
and whatever you think of Far From Home, like what he does to Mysterio, where he grabs that gun, where he goes through those drones like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Grabs that gun and he looks at him like, no, like
Yeah.
he's become like it's happening, and in No Way Home, it's happening. Like he is becoming, and you see it in that first shot in that No Way Home second trailer, where it's like where the rain's pouring. It's like we're getting it.
And now I remembered we never even talked about this, even though we briefly just touched on it. So I feel we should. The entire sequence where he gets the rubble on him is
we didn't even mention that. What the hell?
That is literally a top tier Spider-Man moment ever. Like that is incredible because like
the half mask shot in the that's just like I've seen that so many times.
It's such an earned moment in the movie, dude. And like Tom Holland's performance is so genuine that like
once again,
it's beautiful.
One of the best performances by a lead actor in an MCU film.
Yeah.
His comedy, heart, emotion, anger, anything that this script throws at Tom, even in every movie that he's been in the MCU, I felt this way.
Yeah.
Everything he's thrown at, he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
He sells every line that he has to sell. Even when there's like a cringy line in there, he can sell.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
Like it's so good. And like that moment is him like on that first step to being that Spider-Man that we're gonna see in No Way Home. That at the end of No Way Home. I'm so excited for him too, because I can understand like kind of his sort of feelings. Like I can tell that he's itching to be Toby and Andrew in a way.
Yeah.
He's itching to finally be like,
yeah,
yo, let me punch someone. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do it.
And he's gonna punch a lot of people in this next movie, and it's gonna be violent as
And the 3 movies after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, I'm gonna give this movie. It's so like I want to give it a 10 out of 10. At worst, I'm giving it a 9.5. Literally, like that's the worst I can give it.
I already gave it a 10. Yeah,
I'm gonna say anywhere from 9.5 to 10. Like, no, I change my mind. I'll give it a 10. But the only reason why I don't want to give it a 10 slightly is because in my head I do genuinely put Spider-Man 1 and 2 both above it. And like if I'm doing
they're both 10s anyway, so.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if I'm putting those above it, like genuinely where I feel those two are slightly better, then I feel like I have to make this one a 9.5. But it's close either way. Yeah, I love them all. I love them all.
Like I can rank my 10s, to be honest. Like I'll just say like
this is a better 10.
This is a better 10. This is like still 10, but
yeah,
one's a little better.
I'll go that route. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can rank my 10s. Like I think Spider-Man 2 is a 10. So, and like I still have trouble ranking. Like my first four Spider-Man movies. We'll do.
I was gonna say before No Way Home drops, we're gonna do a
no. Like the day before No Way Home drops, we're dropping that episode.
Okay.
Because I want to be toxic. I want to be a toxic. Spider-Man
I want to be toxic.
I want to be a toxic Spider-Man fan because like that was. By the way, that ranking by Soups. I like Soups.
Wait, I forgot what was the order?
I like Soups a lot. Okay, I think it was he put Spider-Man No Way Home first. Bro, you have not seen the movie. First of all. Buddy, it all sounds great. I think it's gonna be great. I just can't do it yet.
No.
I haven't seen it. Like I cannot because like something can sound awful on paper and work well, and something can sound fantastic on paper and like just like not work. Yeah. And it's like we have to see first, but everything I've heard is that it works. But I just need to like see it for my own eyes. And so and I recommend like before putting that movie first, let's make sure. Let's make sure. First.
You're right. You're totally right.
And then I think he put the Raimi movies first.
And then it was Amazing Spider-Man 2, or am I making that up?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the list. Sorry, Soups, to put you on blast. We like
no,
you.
we have to. I'm sorry.
He's a nice kid, and I don't mean to. I think he's older than me, but he's a nice guy, and I don't want to be rude. Okay, so his number 1 is No Way Home, which we just got into. Second is Into the Spider-Verse. I can respect that a lot. The third is Spider-Man 3. He put Spider-Man. No, the third is Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
but he put Spider-Man 3 over Spider-Man 1.
Oh, because he's drunk. He's fucking drunk.
And then he put The Amazing Spider-Man 2 over Amazing Spider-Man.
And then he put the MCU movie last.
Then he put Homecoming 8th and Far From Home 9th.
That's bullshit.
And it's like that's just a bad. I gotta be honest.
Look, there's a line.
I respect Soups a lot. I know he gets a lot of hate because he is very passionate. I like Soups. Soups, you're a good guy, and I don't mean any disrespect here. I disagree. I'm just gonna say if we've ever seen Uncut Gems, when Adam Sandler goes, I disagree.
I'm gonna say
I disagree
as objectively as possible. Like there's a line where
I don't like your
is out the window. Like that's how I feel.
And Soups always responds, I want to hear your list. And Soups, I have posted my list on. If Soups ever watches this, Soups, I put my list on Twitter, but we are going to do that episode where I fully explain my list as well.
Yeah, me too.
Before No Way Home. So be sure to check that out on Cape Time. Shameless plug. Yeah, just I have Homecoming second for me. That's it. Yeah. That's all I have to say. But my first 4 are basically interchangeable.
All right. I guess that's it for this episode. This has been a pleasure as always, but until next time, this has been another wonderful episode of Cape Time. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.